Hello, and welcome to the Bluff Creek Project Podcast. I am Tate Hieronymus. I'm your host, and I am joined with me by Damon Irons. How are you doing, Damon?
Doing good tonight, Tate. How are you this night?
Good. The intro was a little, the words were a little weird, but if you've ever listened to this podcast, I kind of slur my words a lot, so it happens.
Yeah, you're not the only one, man. I do all the time.
I don't know.
I do it again.
I know it's all good. I talk fast, so I expect it to happen. Or sometimes I just don't really think about my words, and it comes out all mumbled, jumbled, and stuff.
Yeah, I tend to get excited and then speak too fast, and so I just have to slow down.
It happens. I mean, what can you do?
No, you can't do anything at all.
Not really. But so Damon, I want to ask you, because I met you in Bluff Creek. It was last year, I believe, right?
Yeah, last year. Yeah, I came up with Terry and her son.
And that
Stevie.
That wasn't your first time to the Bluff Creek area, was it?
It was actually, yeah.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, no, I've never been there before. It was great. I had a great time just meeting you guys and the whole Bluff Creek gang, and I got that great one-on-one tour with Robert down to the site and helped him measure some stuff, and it was pretty awesome actually.
Well,
nice to actually be on the spot, and just actually see it and then understand how really it's not as big as it appears in the film, and it's actually a lot closer quarters and all those things that film distorts when you see reality. But it was just kind of amazing to stand there.
It's super true. And I got to ask, were you kind of underwhelmed of seeing the site for the first time? Were you expecting something different, or were you expecting something like that? I mean, you've seen the photos before, but
well, I wasn't expecting the 40 years or so of undergrowth to kind of fill in the open space that's evident in the film. I wasn't expecting that, but was kind of taken aback a little bit by how remote it is and how hard it is to get there. I mean, heck, it was still by the time I got to the bottom of that road on my mountain bike, I think my brakes were on fire. It was just kind of crazy. But just the bottom of the canyon down there and how far away everything is. I mean, and no wonder those guys never went back. It's a pain in the butt to get back there.
What's crazy is back then you used to be able to pretty much drive to the film site.
Right.
Way back when. And then, just over time, I think vegetation growing and it kind of covered over the road and all that. And then the way the creek ran, that kind of played a part into it. And so there's another way you can get down there that you used to be able to drive still to the bat boxes, which is one of the areas you have to walk to now because there was a rock slide over the road, and they kind of blocked it off with the berm over there. Mm-hmm. What do you think of the hike to the film site?
It's not that far. Once you get on it, it's just 10 or 15 minutes of just kind of going through some stuff. It's actually, that wasn't too bad, but once you kind of roll into it and suddenly you're there, like, wait a minute, there's both different directions, either through the river or down the back trail. And then, it's a pretty amazing space. I think I took a little panoramic video of it when I was down there. I was just surprised at how deep and dark it was down there. I'm curious about the road, because I was going to ask riding those guys if they've got cameras up there, because I didn't realize that old road was right up, just not too far above the river on the I want to say on the opposite bank from the film site. I forget which direction that is, but
are you saying that paved road above the film site?
No, it's the old road you were talking about. I think the remnant of it is just a couple feet up, like on the opposite riverbank.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
behind it and up there. I think that old road is back up there. And I was just kind of curious how that's done with cameras and stuff up there.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I've ever asked them about that either. I don't think they put cameras up there. I could be wrong. I know I think it was when you guys were out there, and so was Jonathan and those other guys. Mm-hmm. They all camped at Scorpion Creek, and I think that's the furthest they went up creek.
That was a great little trip of theirs. That video that Rowdy put together, we watched, that was pretty fun.
I was super jealous. I had my cousin with me and my dog, so I couldn't go up the creek with him and camp at the film site. That would have been.
He was a sport, man. He went across the river over there and climbed up the hill a bit.
I mean, I don't know. I would have liked to gone camping at Scorpion, but like with the dog that I had, and
yeah, your dog was cool.
It would have been a mess, and that trip was already crazy. People. So I'll go back to the film site here in a minute, but I just want to talk about the fact that there was 3 people in our group that got flat tires this trip. I got flat tires. I had to get I had to get 4 new tires.
Wow.
Which ended up costing like $800.
Yeah.
And then Rowdy's wife ended up getting a flat tire that trip.
I remember that. Mm-hmm.
And then Stevie on his car ended up getting a flat tire.
Yeah, I was right behind him. That sucked. You just hit
there
a
was
little bit of a. I drive the RV in, no problem.
I was gonna say, dude, if that RV got a flat tire, that would have been a nightmare.
Yeah, that wouldn't have been so fun. I did have a spare on board, but there's no way I would have gotten it off or anything like that. We would have $1,000, Les Schwab, rescue truck bill.
Oh my God. I think you were definitely the talk of the group when we heard, oh, there's this guy bringing his RV.
Yeah, is this crazy?
Oh my God. It was, and okay, so for the people listening, it wasn't like a little small RV, or a little trailer. It was like a big RV camper.
Oh, come on, it's not that big. It's a 1993 Safari Serengeti that's 34 feet.
That's pretty big for out there. I mean, to make those narrow roads like you did, I don't know.
Yeah, so the go road was pretty good all the way up until the turnoff. It's mostly paved in places and just pretty steep. And then the rest of it just was, at least the point to the cell site, was kind of okay. It wasn't too skinny. There were a few places where we were dodging some other rocks, and not rocks necessarily, but fallen trees and vegetation, that sort of thing. And that's actually what got Stevie's tire. He hit the edge of a branch that was sticking out, and those little skinny little steady tires he had on there just kind of tore the sidewall out. But that was actually kind of okay. It was some of the spots we got into in Mount Hood that were quite surprising the following week. That and I did actually finally dent it. I hit a rock just my last night there. I was pretty close to a spot near Tom's Meadow. I wanted to camp in a big wide open fieldish there, and I just didn't see something in the shadow, and then it got me. So overall it did pretty good though. I was quite surprised.
Are you bringing it for this upcoming trip?
Yeah, I'll bring it again.
Dang.
You need it.
You know what you need to do? Make sure there's a working TV in there, and I want to bring like a PlayStation. Something we can play like Madden, or I don't know. We'll do something.
It's got a TV in there. It's kind of a small little 19-incher, but it works. Yeah.
I want to do I at least want to play some games out there one time while I'm out there. At least it's a bucket list. I know it's that sounds like, oh, you want to just play video games out there when you could be squatching, but I don't know. There's just something about playing video games above the film site, which would be kind of weird and trippy.
Well, it was weird to have Rowdy you guys put up the theater, and they played their whole movie and your movie and stuff. And
that was super cool.
That was pretty fun. Yeah.
That was awesome.
That was very cool.
Rowdy, so Rowdy gave me a screen projector, a screen for a film projector.
Yeah.
So we, I think it was a few nights after they went hiking up Scorpion Creek. We were all hanging out, and we put up the screen, and we were looking at pictures that Rowdy took of the trip up through Scorpion Creek. So that was really fun. We were all talking about it. There were some jokes flown in there about all of us. Yeah. It was a good time. So going back to the film site, what was your favorite thing about it, and what was your least favorite thing about going to the film site?
Well, I don't think they had anything least favorite about it. It was actually all it was just the woods, the hike, going through the stuff, talking to Robert. He had all, I mean, it's awesome having this very passionate person to kind of show you everything about the place and the pictures and the history. And I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better hiking companion for that. And it was just great to just see everything. And I didn't really have any, let's see, yeah, just identifying the sites and the sumps and being able to walk the path, so to speak. And just one of those eerie places when you go with somewhere that history has happened, and just being in the same spot and trying to imagine it, It's not as dramatic as, say, standing up on, some battlefield or something like that. But at the same time, it's interesting to be somewhere like that. That, like, wow, this thing really walked from behind this and went this way and walked over there, and there it was.
Yeah, and I can't remember who or where I was talking to about this, but like, regardless if the film is fake, to still be standing in a place where something like that happened, if that was a hoax, that's a legendary hoax, and to be standing in a place where a hoax like that took place and it's lasted that long is pretty incredible, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, no, I don't see how it's ever. I mean, there's no way it's a hoax. I just can't see it. We just didn't have nobody has the technology to do it. Nobody has they didn't have the knowledge, the anatomical knowledge that is evident in the film back then. They just didn't. And everything that you see comes out of it, various analysis. There's just I saw a guy like in Idaho Falls at the Eastern Idaho Bigfoot Conference that went through every single monkey suit that Hollywood has made ever, and just showed you all the problems with every single one of them, and even the more modern ones, and they all have the same problems that are not evident in the form of Patty, and just it's all little stuff that is right about it that the suits are so wrong about.
Well, like, you can't see muscle movement. Oh, go ahead.
Right. Yeah, it's not muscle movement. And like I said, that little thing about the eyes that I sent you, you can see them right in the right spot. There's all these, the one thing that someone pointed out to Modern once, that little fat roll that she has kind of on her gut there, looks like she's had a baby already, that sort of thing. Plus the fact that, who would hoax a female Bigfoot then?
Right.
Like that one.
I mean, normally if you're going to do something, normally if you're going to do something, you're going to fake it male, yeah. But why would you go through the trouble to fake a female?
Yeah.
I mean, that's trouble enough as it is already.
Yeah. You're adding this entirely new dimension to the suit that has to work, right? And why would you do that?
That has to work autonomously correct.
Yeah, the same problem I got. Has to be anatomically correct. Yes.
Anatomically correct. Oh man. So speaking of funny words like that, I can't remember where I was at. Well, I was talking to people online. And so my last name, Hieronymus, it's really funny because people can never say it right the first time. Unless if you're a Bigfooter, then you kind of know how to say it because of Bob Hieronymus. Right. But sometimes people will like Hieronymus, hippopotamus. It's pretty funny. So just wanted to say that. But no.
Oh, most people call me Jeremy.
Is that really? For real?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why?
They put Irons. Oh, Jeremy. Oh, the actor, Jeremy Irons. You have to be over 40 to get that reference. Most guys do that. And beyond that, they don't know who that is.
That's really funny. But no, yeah, anatomically correct. Yeah, I don't see that. That would be a lot of trouble to add that into a costume to make it look realistic enough. So, I mean, there's a chance it could be faked. Roger Patterson was actually a really smart man, probably more smart than people give him credit for. He was a great artist. He knew what he was doing when he wanted to go show the film. And I think he made a little bit of money from it too.
Sure, why not?
So, it makes a lot of sense. But, you got to allow some we're on this roll. We can't talk. Skepticism. You got to allow some skepticism. And in there, you know.
Of course, we weren't there. We didn't weren't there. It looks like one, but it, if they maybe shot it and then dragged it out with the film, that would have been wow.
Completely, yeah.
But no, they didn't.
So yeah, I mean, I'm 99% convinced it's real. I'm allowing that 1%, which if it's proven fake, it'll suck. But at the same time, I think let's say it is proven fake. I think it'll allow, it'll help researchers in the way they should look at films more when it comes to Bigfoot stuff and how it's faked.
Oh yeah, definitely all that stuff. Everything adds up. All the little bits of either something that's faked or something that's not faked, or even just, you look at ways that say, oh, this is the way the bears strip bark on this kind of tree, versus, they use all that knowledge to come up with just observation to prove or disprove whatever it is you're looking for.
Exactly.
Say what it's not or what it is, and half the time, just like they say, whatever's left, right, however probable is what's probable. So
exactly.
What's the weirdest thing how many times have you been out there, and what's the weirdest thing that's happened to you out there?
Oh, the weirdest thing that's happened to me. We're reversing it now.
Why not?
Okay, so yeah, I like talking about it. So
you know what happened to us that first night, right?
Yeah, you guys were seeing like something up there.
Yeah, I'll tell you about it in a minute. But what's yours?
Just leave out that other part.
Yeah, I'll tell you about it in a minute.
So the weirdest thing that's happened out there, I did hear some knocks before. That was at Onion Lake. There was another place. No, actually at Laos Camp, my first time there, something came around our tent, and I have audio of faint whoops and a wood knock. And on the audio, you could definitely hear something walking around the tent.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
That was pretty weird. I've heard weirder stories from like Roddy that's been there, and Robert that's had some things happen out there. Boba's had some weird things happen, but that was the weirdest probably for me. And I don't know how many times I've been out there.
I'm sorry. Yeah, she said she saw like an apparition, like an old Native woman apparition, down over by the water once.
Wait, what?
That camp's old. I think that's been an old camp for a long time.
Oh no, okay. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was I want to say October-ish. It was during the 50th anniversary of the Patterson Gimlin film. Yeah, they had a whole thing, and like a bunch of us camped at Laos Camp a few days before. And it was me and my dad and Terry and Stevie that were there. And we kept hearing this thumping in the ground. It was like we could feel it, but it was not very loud. Right. And then my dad and Terry saying they were seeing something on the edge of Laos Camp. So like if you've ever been to Laos Camp, when you pull in, when you're driving into the road, you pull in, there's a porta potty on your right, and like kind of way down to the right, there's actually a trail that goes off up to the creek, and then to the left, there's another campsite. So if you pull into the right, they were seeing something up to the right of Laos Camp as you pull in at the edge by the creek. And yeah, Terry described it as what did she say exactly? What was the thing you used?
I believe she described it as a apparition of a Native American woman, like an old woman.
What's crazy? My dad said he was seeing something too, but I don't know what he saw, and I wasn't seeing anything, but we definitely heard something on the ground. And then we went over there the next day, and it looked like a footprint, but it wasn't. It wasn't enough to really say for sure. But that was pretty weird. I will say that was like the first time I heard that, and felt like a thumping in the ground. It was odd. Was it Bigfoot? I don't know what it was. It was creepy to say the least. Yeah.
No, the heavy steps walking, that's something to hear. I mean, to feel as close. It's pretty like that. My first sighting was like that. When it walked away, it was just like just the thump, if you've heard like a horse walk, just the heavy thump. just one after another, step after another. It was just like, wow. They kind of sealed it as this just really happened.
Yeah, I don't know
for me,
what else
so.
it could have been. Well, Louse Camp has a
Mhm.
rich history for sightings as it is.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean,
Under the base where the river is, the easy walk through. Yeah.
if you think about it, you're kind of in a I don't know, would landlocked be the right word for that? For Louse Camp?
I don't know. So I don't know what really happened after the landslide that kind of closed off the river.
Well, landlocked
I
in
don't-
the sense, I'm just saying like landlocked in the sense that there's only one way into Louse Camp by road.
Yeah.
And then you're all surrounded by creek, and then the rest is like kind of you're in a bowl really.
Yeah.
There's only
you
one
are.
way in fast, one
Yeah.
way out. So
yeah.
that's
So critters are probably come in on the ridge line or down along the river.
so I mean
Probably.
you're kind of okay, landlocked might not be the right word, but you're kind of I don't know, it's more of like a trap or a dead end
A real good
corridor.
choke point. Big choke
Yeah.
point maybe. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so. And so any animal that wants to come check you out that knows the area like a Bigfoot or mountain lion or bear, even deer for that matter, they can traverse that terrain really easy and get out of there fast, especially in the dark. But we can't.
Oh no, we're horrible at it. Yeah, we go out in the woods and we think we're just being stealthy, but we're horrible at it. I mean, these guys are definitely thousands of levels way better than you at this stuff.
And what I think of like the reason Louse Camp is so rich in history is because literally the Jerry Crew trackway was right off the road, like by the bridge, which is probably maybe a few 100 feet, 500 feet from from Louse.
Yeah.
But not only that, but the creek is actually fairly loud there. Anything that wants to come stealthy and check you out will, and will utilize that. So, it's a special place up there.
Yeah. And I honestly think that guy did, because, that's part of the story I was going to tell you was the smell, right? That I smelled when I got out of the RV. So I'll just go right into it. When we're coming into camp, before we were paused there on the road for a little bit, and when Terry and Stevie were in Terry's car, just as Terry had the high beams on, and Stevie looks up the road, and just as she turns them off, turns off her headlights. He sees what he described as a blonde face just off the side of the road, probably about a foot high off the road. So like it was down on the side looking across the road. And he said, "Wait, Mom." And she went and she turned it back on. And he said the face looked at him and then just dropped and disappeared. And then so as we caravan up and get to the parking lot where I was going to park, I stopped in the RV to get out and to survey the space to where I'm going to park it. And as soon as I stepped out right into a smell I've smelled before, which was the year before when I had that one run by me on the road in Mount Hood. And because I smelled that smell first. So I step out into this and smell, I'm going, "Oh my God, do you smell it? I was like, looking around and no. And then it wasn't until a few minutes later after we parked and stuff that Stevie told me that he had seen the face. And I'm thinking, oh, it was right where I had just stepped out. So we looked around for a little bit, and then that night we go down to Louse Camp and go see you guys and dinner, all that stuff like that, and come back. That night's audio is really interesting. I've got footsteps kind of around the camper. I've got a wood knock, things like that. Just kind of monkeying around. Monkeys going around the camper in places. The following night or the second night, I think it was so the next night we all went to that one place. Went pretty far away. We drove pretty far away and did that night navigation down the road.
Was that when we?
Yeah, we took off and went somewhere else. I don't know where it was.
Oh no, I think that wasn't the second night, was it? I feel like that was the third night.
Maybe. But so coming back from that night or the next one, Terry and I were driving back, and
that's okay. Yeah,
we were. She sees something.
I left. what happened is we were leaving an area because we were pretty much up all night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we came back pretty late, like 5 a.m, something like that. But the
so
next
wasn't
night
the night?
we had dinner the next night down back at Louse Camp.
Oh, then okay, it was when you guys were coming back from last camp after
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, she and I had agreed because the 2 years prior to that, both of us have come across things where we thought was something weird, or we wouldn't mention it. Or I remember we were driving back out from Tom's Meadow, and she's like, "Oh, I saw ice shine back there." It's like, come on, man, now? You tell me now? So we're joking to each other, just like, okay, forget it. If anybody sees something, feels something weird, something, whatever, like immediately we're going to tell the other person, and we're going to stop and check it out, no matter what it is. I don't even care.
Yes.
And so we're coming up this road, and I'm talking about something. I was looking up the road, and she goes, "Oh, did you see that?" I'm like, "What?" She stops. She goes, "I saw like blonde fur stepping to the left, like behind this tree, right, just right in front of us on the side of the road, right there." I'm like, okay. And so we get out. I had my my Force Scout in my pocket, and started looking, and it's a little windy, and as we're talking, this branch comes flying off the top of the bank and lands on us. We're like, what the heck was that? Almost like it was deliberately, tossed over the hill on us. And so I'm looking, and I almost think I see a heat signature up there. And I walk up the road probably about 100 yards. Man, it's pitch black up there. It was just like
it's dark.
walking in darkness, and I'm trying to hold it together. Like, okay, he's gonna jump out and kill me. But so I'm trying to get an angle on this thing, and apparently when I was up there, something, she said, pushed the back of her car, like on the bumper. So I came back. She told me that we looked. I didn't see any like fingerprints or anything like that, but we got kind of creepy, and we went, and nothing else happened. So we went back to the RVs and spent the night, and then moved on with it. But the weirdest thing about all that though is later. I was watching, about 6 months later, I was watching a replay of the Willow Creek Finding Bigfoot. And my buddy, Rob, and I actually had gone to that. It was kind of fun to see all those guys. And I keep watching because I keep looking in the background to see if I'm like, is that me here? Or is that us? But they were interviewing a woman who was a fire lookout, and she's talked about her sighting and being in the fire lookout, watched one walk by. And then she said, "Oh yeah, it was blonde." And I'm just like, I just about spit my drink out through my mouth again. It's like, what the frick is blonde? So I'm like, okay, blonde face, blonde fur. Okay, another blonde one. Kind of gave it some really interesting validation, but that was our weird first night up there. So I'm looking forward to going back.
I love it. And you know what's funny? I think all the Bluff Creek guys were us, I think, and you guys we were talking about, it seems like up here in Willow or Bluff Creek area, especially around like the film site and last camp, it seems like a lot of things happen on the ridges.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
And it was because I don't think you guys were here the first that night, but there was a group of us. No, you guys weren't here for this. It was like the first night there. Robert, Rowdy, I want to say Dustin Severs also, and then they all were camping at they were all camping at Scorpion Creek, and then Jonathan and the two other friends that were with him were camping at the film site, and then I was with my cousin, and I had my dog, and we were at the berm, and Jamie Wayne was at the berm too, and I feel like below the cell site was where the berm is to get to the film site to walk down. Mm-hmm. By the berm, Jamie's like, he comes to my window, he's like, "Dude, a bear just pushed a tree over." Like, what? They're like, "Yeah, there's a bear up there." So there was a lot of activity that night, like just from regular wild animals. And then you guys come, and then you guys are getting some weird activity up on the cell site, which is probably a few hundred feet just above the berm area.
Yeah, I remember those guys talking about a bear down there, and it seemed odd to me because bears just don't push trees over.
I mean, it could have been a bear pushing a tree over. Mm-hmm. Jamie said he didn't see it, so I don't know.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, but why would a bear push a tree over? I mean, maybe to scare
unless it's
you.
looking for something.
That could have been
Looking for food. Like maybe there's a nest of something in there that he wants to get at.
I don't know how big of I need to ask him how big of a tree it was because I didn't hear it. I wanted to.
Yeah.
That would have been really cool to hear, regardless. But yeah, there was a lot of activity over there, and it seems like you guys had a lot of action up on the ridge on the cell site.
Yeah. So the whole thing was that whole trip with her was like with Terry and Stevie and those guys was a lot of fun because we kind of went to all these places we wanted to go. So a couple of days hanging out with you guys was fantastic. And I've got plans when I go back there. I was like that little field that's up top where it's very marshy, very cold. And I went there one night and just do some, dark man, just sit in the bushes and wait for a few hours and see what happens up there.
Do you want me to say where it's at, or are you kind of just waiting to do it and then say it later?
Oh, I'm trying to remember what the name was.
Okay, so I guess you're not trying to keep it a secret. Yeah.
No, it's not secret.
Laird Meadow. That's the place.
Okay, yeah.
Laird Meadow. It's that really marshy looking area that's really wide open. It was like right off the road.
Yeah.
I would know, like if you if you put a blind in there. Yeah, if you put you could park off the side of the road. Actually, it would be better to walk from Louse Camp to there and then walk back. I feel like a car would give it too much away.
I think it depends on when you go in there. I think you go in during the daylight, like just before dusk, and then just be quiet for a while. I think you'd be fine.
You could easily put like a blind in there before dusk, and then just get in the blind and just sit it out and see what happens.
Yeah, totally.
Oh man, I will do it. If you're down, I'll do that with you, man. That'd be fun.
That's on my list next time I go up there.
I have
such a great little space. We saw a lot of wildlife last time we looked at it.
Are you gonna? So when we were up there, you were using something pretty cool, and I want to ask your opinion on this. You were using a drone, but it had a thermal camera attachment.
Yeah.
So this is a 2-question thing. For the first part, do you have any more plans to use it up in the Bluff Creek area, like at Laird Meadow or by Onion Lake or anything?
Yeah, I plan to use it whenever I can. One thing I really kind of learned about it this summer was because I got it last winter, and then so this previous summer was the first opportunity I had to really use it in the field and kind of figure out what it's good for and what it's not good for. I find the drone to be sort of a blunt instrument. It is a little loud. I mean, even if the quiet prop's on and no out there, it really is kind of noisy. Great for finding stuff like in the daylight, like if you want to scout some stuff around, look at some things you've never seen before. I mean, it's amazing what pops out as far as like, wow, I didn't even know that was there. In fact, when we were in Mount Hood, we found this awesome old looked like an old gravel pit that was a part, almost like a parking lot for a while, that the Forest Service just kind of closed off, bermed up, put some trees there. We didn't even know it was there. We parked 10 feet from it. And as I went up and this guy looked, it was like right up, like, oh my gosh, why aren't we camping in that? It's amazing. But stuff just, get the aerial view of getting stuff like that is really great. As far as like using it to find animals and things like that, animals actually, for me, they stick out pretty well because they're not wearing clothes. People wearing clothes like jackets and stuff like that tend to hide the heat internally into the jacket and stuff, and it's a huge difference. I'll send you a picture of some cows that I took a picture of from pretty far away. They just stand right out. So that's why I like when I see a lot of these like say Russ's thermal image last year from Expedition Bigfoot and some of the stuff I'm getting this year, you see this very bright animal, and I think it's just simply because they're not wearing clothes. The fur gets all warmed up all the way through it, fairly uniformly. So that's one thing that's really nice to see. But the thing is, you have to realize with therms, even the handheld ones you look at, they all like calibrate on the temperature that's in the scene, right? So the hottest thing that's in the scene, even though it's say 50 degrees, is going to show white because that's the upper level of the temperature range is looking at. So you get a lot of false stuff to look at, like rocks and trees and things like that turn out to be really hot. So it's almost like you have to, it's better to sit there and like hover and don't even move necessarily and look for hot spots to move. Like if they are like a deer or something like that. There's one spot I caught this deer, but I didn't see him initially when I was looking at it because I was in the middle of rotating direction. I'd stopped and was turned. So I was turning the drone around to come the other way. And it was right in the middle of the turn, this deer moved. You can see him turn and walk in a different direction, but because the entire screen was just doing this spiral spinny thing at the time when I was doing it, I didn't catch it. So I was watching it later.
Go ahead.
So that's its only real limitation. You have to kind of really just kind of take your time with it. Try to get high, but you can look and see. And the tree cover tends to block stuff because it's flurry of heat is direct line of sight. It'll make it through some vegetation, but for the most part, vegetation blocks it, things like that. So I think it's super, it is super handy and super helpful, and was in a lot of cases. But as far as like night looking for stuff in the trees, it makes it a little difficult, but I will keep trying.
Yeah, I was going to say,
how to use it the right way.
Yeah, I was going to say, because like the drone's awesome, but for thermal, I mean, for a thermal on a drone, you have to be high. You can't really fly a drone through the forest, otherwise you're going to break it at night.
Yeah, you're gonna lose your drone, definitely.
That's why the handheld ones are good for the ground and the.
Oh yeah.
But like you said, it's a direct line of sight, and so if you don't, you got the tree cover to deal with. So, I mean, a thermal is good. Like if you spot something, at least you know what's in the area. Like, oh, I saw something over here. You can go check it out.
Yeah. I think it's better used. I think it'd be better if it was like if you had somebody at a base camp. I saw like what they did that with that release video or finding Bigfoot. What they did that new 2-hour special just launched, right? Remember they had those guys sitting at base camp, and when they got something in front of them, so they launched the drone to go check it out that way. I think more reactionary like that is probably a better use of it, because then you can pinpoint something that you've seen on the ground with your aerial look at it, and then if it moves, you can track it. If you
exactly
can track the thing if it moves. So, if the ground cover is correct. But I like better the idea of something like, Expedition Bigfoot just did it. They had that one drone. I'd prefer a balloon, maybe a balloon that could be on a tether, like above
that'd be cool.
Your campsite or something like that, so it's quiet, and then you can have a pod hanging underneath it with the camera on it, and be able to look around or down.
That would be cool.
That I think is the ultimate solution. They were pretty close with that one. They had it was a drone on a tether, so it flew. But it was making noise. It was making drone noise,
Well, if you did that with like a balloon, like you could do that in Louse Camp and get pretty high in the canopy. And if it's a balloon, it's not going to be heard. If it's a thermal, it's not really putting IR light out, so any animals that are sensitive to IR light won't see it.
Right.
Oh man, I didn't even think of that. That's genius.
Yeah, so that's my if I can figure out how to put that together, that's definitely what I want to do, because what else you can do with that too is you can put like a radio repeater on it so that you can have communication too with your group, like because most of the radios are line of sight too, so you get a couple mile or two away and you can't talk to anybody anymore. But if you could have a repeater of some sort in the air, that would help that too. So
that would help greatly.
I just need money.
it's money.
Right, start a GoFundMe account.
Well, you kind of answered this already, but with drones in general, they're really good for daytime scouting. Like you could fly one up in the air and be like, "Oh, I didn't know that was here. I want to go check that out," and you know where it's at and walk to it. So, do you think drones are going to be more utilized in field research by Bigfooters?
Definitely. You're seeing a lot more people with them now, but like I said, they're kind of a blunty instrument, but they're really good for, like you said, finding stuff like really good terrain observation, or if you want to put together a plan for where a good spot might be. Or a lot of times stuff pops out that's not on the topo maps. You might see, some swampy stuff, that'd be really good habitat, or a road that's not very obvious, or something like that would get you to where you want to go, like walking in or biking in or something like that. But it's really amazing what you can see around you when you get the little aerial perspective of it. And
Oh, definitely.
sometimes like terrain, whether it's elevation gains or not, or just some of the stuff that's not really apparent on a map sometimes, it's really apparent when you fly over it.
Yeah, there's so many places I would like to fly. I mean, a drone in the Bluff Creek area that I want to see, because like I've been going there year after year, and I didn't get a drone till this year actually, or like late last year, and so I'm very eager to get up there and kind of fly the drone around and see what I can see with it. Because I think that would help with adventuring somewhere that you don't normally adventure to if you don't know what's around the corner or what something's at.
Yeah.
And like there's that one spot on the road going up to that little huge flat area. It's another rockside area. It's like kind of not too far from last camp. There's that huge drainage in the bottom. You can fly like a drone over that and see what's down there.
Oh yeah.
And you can easily send a team to walk up the creek from last camp to that area if it's worth it.
Oh, totally. And if you see something, you can always, vector people onto it, to tell them where to go and stuff like that. So it's kind of fun. My drone has a spotlight as well as I can put a speaker on it if I want to. Kind of yell at people through it.
What kind of drone?
Pretty fun.
What's the brand of the drone that you have?
I have a DJI Mavic 2 Enterprise Dual, they call it.
Enterprise Dual?
Dual, yeah. So the little camera gimbal has both a 4K camera as well as the thermal imaging camera on it as well. So it's always taking either 4K, both video at the same time, like pictures or whatever video if I'm recording it. So I get both.
Dang, I bought a DJI Mavic Air 2.
Yeah,
those are fun. But I don't know if you can you even do that can you even like put a thermal camera on a Mavic Mini? Or do you have to buy it?
No. They don't make them for that small size. You can buy standalone units that would go on, say, like a Zen Moose, or you might even be able to fit one onto a Phantom or something like that. But on a Mini, no, I wouldn't do that.
Dang. I thought the spotlight was really cool because like the Mavic Air 2 that I have has a spotlight. I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah. Does it come on when you come down close to the ground?
Sometimes, yeah. I think most of the times it does. But when you're high up in the air, you can turn it on. I think that'd be kind of cool and useful too sometimes. Like if you're flying a drone with a thermal on it and you see something, I feel like a light could flush it out. Possibly, whatever you're seeing. Hopefully it flushes it out in the right direction. Like, oh, there's a light on me. I got to get out of here.
You know what I was using it for last fall was Rowdy asked me to come down and help film an episode of this Rowdy Evil thing, and we're using it as a UFO. So I'd fly it out over the lake and hit the spotlight on the lake. So I'm flying this spotlight across the lake, and it was really pretty cool.
That's awesome. I mean,
really
you could really fake people out with a drone as a UFO. Just fly with like a light and nobody's gonna know what it is. That's hilarious.
No, it was a good time. Actually, it was a good time. I did use it to like what I was trying to. I found some hikers the other day. I was ran up the valley. It was kind of dark, and I was looking for deer with it. I was trying to practice my skills and stuff, and so I was looking for deer, and I thought I saw some. I was going slow, looking for the movement. So I saw a little bit of movement. I'm thinking, oh, I got something. And then as I kept on going, I found these deer. Or it was like 4 people and their dog were running on this trail. it was fun to watch them. So I followed them for a couple of minutes, and just kind of got to see what it looked like. I have this video right here. Actually, I'll send it to you. But
and you also said you had audio too that you got from, was it not Laos or not the cell site, was it, or is it just different audio from other places?
I've got that audio. I've got some different stuff. Let me see. Can I play it for you, or should I just send it to you?
I can insert it here on audio.
Well, let me hold on here.
What's the audio sound like? Is it like, can you hear the footsteps walking around your RV at the cell site pretty good?
Yeah, you have to kind of listen to it. It's really good with the headphones on because it's almost in stereo. The RV was, I put the audio recorder on the bike rack on the back behind my RV over there. And you can hear some ruffling of the bushes and a couple of steps through there, like behind the tree back there. I think that's where it came in. In fact, I kind of learned a lot about audio and just camera placement, things like that on this trip. Because just about every night where we camped, because we made it a point to camp in their space. So in Bluff Creek, and then in a couple places we went in Mount Hood, we've always done as a night investigation, we just walk in and walk out, but we actually camped there instead, just stayed there and made a lot of human noise, and it went with the whole, do stupid human tricks and see if they'll come check you out, right? Because if you're not gonna go out and find them, and then maybe they'll come see what's going on with you. And I think that's that. Because every night the recordings were having really strange stuff. I didn't get anything on the pictures though, so I'm thinking to myself, because I kept pointing the game cameras in various directions, thinking that's where I was going to catch them coming. And my thought on game cameras, as far as them being in your campground, is that it's just another human thing, just something that is expected and weird associated with people. I mean, obviously by itself on a tree out in the middle of nowhere, that's weird. That gets its attention and messes with it or avoids it altogether. But in camp, I just think it's just another gizmo that people have. So I was pointing them in directions I thought would be good approaches, but in every case, whatever was coming into camp came in a different way, and I got zero pictures of anything. It was just the weirdest thing. Even though there's clearly something rustling around and funking on your stuff, and in one case it even slapped the side of the car, like on the last night. And so,
did you get that on audio?
Yeah, I've got that one. I'll send that to you too.
We gotta hear that. I'll play all these at the end of this recording, at the end of the episode, because that's awesome, man. I love hearing good audio.
Yeah, and I've even got this one. I wonder.
Just try and play one. Just see let's just see what happens.
All right.
Who knows? It might be. If not, I'll still play them at the end.
That's not gonna work. What if I sent you? Let me drop you the. Then you can play it. Can I just give it to you somehow right now?
It might. I don't know if it'll work though. Let me see. I don't think it'll work. I'll have to put it in after. It'll be clearer that way.
Yeah, okay.
Everybody will be able to hear it.
Yeah, so the audio, it's not coming through on the audio. It's just being weird. But I'll send it to you. But the one, I have two that are really interesting that I got from Mamba Lake when I went down there with Rowdy. And the first night, because they had first of all, where we're at was very much a known Bigfoot area. They had just had a rave for like 2 nights in a row at the lake over. And then we're doing the filming stuff. And so this clip audio I sent you, the first part of it, there were squirrels and stuff going around. They were just dropping. What they would do is they pick up, like a pine cone and drop it from a height and break them open. Right, that's kind of what they're doing. But this thing, this first one, it hits. It's clearly a rock hitting the Kubota tractor that they had parked out there. I put the camera on it. It's not a thunk, a drop, or a pine cone thing. It is clearly a very loud metallic whack of something heavy hitting it.
Oh man.
And then a little bit later that night in the distance, and the same thing, put your headphones on, listen to this, because out of nowhere, there was a huge, I think it's a huge rock, hits a tree. It's thrown and hits a tree and then falls to the ground. There's no like a tumble coming ahead, because there's a rock face up there. And you could say, well, maybe the rock falling off that, tumbling down and hitting it. No, there was like absolute silence. I mean, this place was echoey and silent, and just whack, and it echoes, and then thump. Off in the distance, and I was like, "What the heck?" So yeah, I'll send you that one too. That was pretty amazing. But yeah, that last night at Tom's Meadows was probably the night before. Yeah, something came in. You can hear one round. It runs to one side of the camp, runs to the other. Flicked my didgeridoo. You guys don't make the noise of it because I had it out leaning against the chair, and then messes around with something else. You hear it stomp and go someplace else, but.
it
on
like
camera,
flicked
man,
it?
missed it. Yeah,
Like,
you little boom, boom. Yeah,
that's awesome.
like a tap it. Yeah.
So I told this to Connor Anderson from the North American Bigfoot Center. I think you've met him.
Yeah, I know
before.
Connor. Yeah, I met Connor.
We were talking about. Well, you kind of said it like, if you're not gonna trick these things into giving like a response back, like a call or a wood knock, just act weird and see if they'll come to you. And so I showed Connor this. So people who are listening won't be able to see this, but I can show you. So I'm taking this bass out there.
Oh yeah.
And then I got this big bass amp I'm going to take.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I'm just going to play that as loud as I can and see what happens.
Yeah.
Hopefully something comes in because of it.
Yeah, get their attention. Yeah, like I said, that I'm trying to play that didgeridoo real loud, and trying to figure out how that thing works. And then, because I tell you, I break that thing out, started out, my dog comes wherever he is in the house, he comes running across the house to figure out so
what is that?
Seemed like it was some look. Yeah, I feel like I've gotten some response out of that. But no, I think I really think that you go to where they're at and in their habitat, and they'll just come find you. Yeah, most of the time.
Yeah, because you're not really fooling anybody. Well, by anybody, I mean them. You're not fooling Bigfoots or Sasquatches. You can do your best, but they're pretty smart.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, like we got so the very first Bigfoot expedition I went on was with Cliff and Derek Randalls on one of Cliff's first years. He was running those couple years of those expeditions in Mountain Hood. And we were walking out the road at Tom's Meadow. We had split up into 3 groups. And at one point, 3/4 of the way through the hike, or almost to the end of the road, we decided that we're going to do 3 different whoops. So Cliff's group did a whoop, Minty's group did a whoop, and then Derek did one. And then we actually got a response whoop from down the hill in front of us. Not too far away, actually. We're all like, "Whoa, that was cool." And then that was part of the funny part when I was talking to Terry about this and going, so in the past we've seen some of these things that happen to us, and we all just go, "Yay, that's neat," and then we just move on, like what now, And not like we actually decided to follow up on it or anything like that, or find a way to draw it, whatever whooped at us back in, if it truly was the Squatch whooping back at us, So, but to finish up that night is we walked to the end of Tom's Meadow. We sat down, pitch black, so I didn't really know what was around us, but something was making a noise. Derek started making kind of a distressed deer noise, and that's when I heard my first wood knock. It came from the left side of the field we're sitting in. And then I was like, "Dude, I just heard a knock," and they're all like, "Quiet." And then there was followed by another wood knock on the right side. So I'm like, "Guys, we're but they were more concerned about what was right in front of us, because they thought maybe there was something right there, so they weren't listening to what I was saying." But that's the first time I've heard that subtle wood knot like that. And now I've heard it before. I've heard it a couple times since then, and I think it's just more of a "I'm in position" kind of a knock. "Where are you?" or "I'm here. Are you here?" Just a subtle little tap. And I've heard that a couple times now. So that was that on top of the go road there at the south side was that time.
Oh, I am telling you, knocks aren't probably definitive if you're getting audio and want to show somebody "Oh, it's definitely Bigfoot." Yeah, what could have been somebody else. But and I think just hearing audio of a real knock in general, it doesn't do it justice of being there.
No, it's not. It's out of context. Yeah, you don't have the right context with it.
The feeling that I had. Okay, so one of the first times I heard a loud knock, which I'm pretty sure was a Bigfoot. Robert and I have different opinions on it. Robert Leiderman and I feel like it was a Bigfoot just because of the circumstances. We were up at Onion Lake. Robert and this other guy, Glenn, I can't remember his YouTube channel, but they went down an old access road and then Rowdy and Robert. Nope. I cannot say anything. Rowdy and Glenn went down an old access road. Robert and I went to Onion Lake, just down the road. So we kind of split up and we were making calls back and forth. And eventually nothing happened. And they ended up, Rowdy and Glenn ended up meeting us over at the little camp site by Onion Lake. And you've been there, so you've seen it. We were kind of at the campsite and there's like this makeshift table like on the tree where there's this fireplace. And I took this 2x4 about, I don't know, 3 feet long. And I was like hitting it on the table with the flat end of the 2x4s and it made like a shotgun knock. I did a couple of those. And then we were kind of all quiet for a few minutes. And then I hear a whack right back, probably like a minute or two later. And then nothing after that. We were kind of just sitting there being quiet. And then we all heard something walking up in this little meadow right behind where the lake is and the tree line. And Rowdy's dog, Chloe, was there. And she was listening and looking around for something up there. So something happened that night. There was a knock sound and there was something moving. So, I mean, that couldn't have been a bear making a knock.
Right. Right. Yeah. So knocks are so funny. Yeah. What are they? It's like what do they signal really? Like because the third night, that first year, we got out to this place called Lindsay Lake. We step out of the trucks and immediately huge power knock just comes across the swamp. Right. Just, it was impressive. And the night was quiet after that.
And it's
right at the very end. We heard some very far away Ohio house, but it was awesome itself. But after that was like the power knock, humans are here, everybody just heads down, and that's what they did.
So what do you think of this? Like, because when Robert was saying about that knock at Onion Lake, he was saying, oh, because of the knocks you did, it was so loud, it reverberated in the forest and knocked a pine cone, like one of those giant pine cones loose off a tree, and it maybe hit like a dead log or something, which made that knock. I find that
with swamp gas and the full moon was shining right through it, and
it's plausible. I mean, it's possible that could have been, but I mean,
I guess
a knock at that time, and it falls down and hits hard and loud enough to make a knock sound. I mean, and the same thing happened at Twin Lakes. I was with Terry and Stevie. I don't know if Terry ever told you about this. It was Twin Lakes. It was me, Terry, and Stevie, and Rowdy Kelly. We were all camping there, and I was just messing around. I wanted to do a knock. I did a knock as I could, and immediately right after, I heard a bam. And it was like, it had to be a few hundred meters to our left of where we were at the lake. Because it was immediate. It was like, that's how fast it was. That could have been a pine cone falling from a tree. That was way too fast. I mean, what do you think?
That seems too coincidental to be like immediate like that. Yeah, that's a little weird.
I don't know.
I think as far as anecdotally though, as far as that goes, I think some of those knocks, like I almost think that a lot of time Bigfoots are always carrying around like a rock in their hand. Like I think they're ready to zing it at something and hit a rabbit or deer with it, or because I've seen a couple things that like there's one video out of Provo where these people walk up on one that's kind of squatted down munching on a branch, and it's really quick, and it like throws a rock at them like immediately. Like it goes zinging right by him on the side, and they'll turn, scream, and run. There's a bunch of kids or something like that. And then Bart Catino's video, his Sierra video, the thermal one, drops it. He was obviously holding on to it a long time because the rock was really hot, and they said that to replicate that, they actually had to put it in the fire for a little while and get it nice and hot so they could they could replicate that thing. So my thought is that they've been holding it for a long time.
Jeez, that's incredible. That's like honestly incredible. I think they're holding on to something, or either I'm not very good at doing this, but maybe they like, since their hands are more leathery and bigger than ours and fatter, they can probably do like I'm gonna do this, but it's very bad. It's like a clap and with their mouth open, like,
Oh yeah.
I can't do it, but something like that, I think they can do that very easy.
Yeah, I mean, it might not be a true knock at all. It might just be a noise that they're making with their mouth, like a little click, like a tongue click or something.
And I think this could be too. You know how you hear the thuds in the ground? That could be them stomping their feet, or not everybody, but a lot of people have seen like silverback gorillas or gorillas in general. Just they'll like hit the ground with their hands and make a really loud thump sound, and that's a territorial like display. So I think Bigfoots could be doing that as well. Maybe they're like, as far as like a aggression display towards people, they'll probably do that. Who knows?
Oh sure, yeah, sure.
I mean,
there's plenty of people that describe that, right? Just being chased out of an area, being something stomping and shaking stuff and making a lot of noise, and they just back away from it.
Well, as you and I, we both know Barcatino. He was ushered out, wasn't it with Robert Leiterman? Or who was it? It was Bobo, I think.
Thought it was Bobo, yeah. I thought, he and Bobo were
ushered out. Yeah.
Out of space. And then he's back there and hasn't seen one since, but in that one spot, yeah. Yeah, that's crazy.
Oh no. How would you feel if you were ushered out by Bigfoots like that? I mean, you'd kind of feel incredible, but I would feel really scared at the same time.
Yeah, I don't know yet. I don't have I'm not afraid of them. In fact, I'm absolutely excited. The times that I've seen them, I've been, oh, that's awesome. I'm almost going after it. I want to go find it. So I have a healthy respect for them, obviously, but at this point, they haven't done anything to make me afraid of them, so to speak. I know that there are probably times, and I've seen some videos from people or some experiences they've felt very afraid of them, or they felt very intimidated by them. And I imagine, just like any other wild animal in their space, when they feel threatened or just don't want you there, they're going to, that's how they operate. That's like all the other animals operate, right? They're going to be aggressive, and they're going to be whatever to change your opinion and scare you out of there. So I haven't run into that. Fortunately yet, but
there's always a first time for everything.
Yeah,
dude.
I'm sure I will.
I don't know. There's things on my bucket list I would love to hear. Obviously, I would like to have a daytime encounter or get a good thermal video of one really close. I would definitely want to hear like one of those classic Ohio howls, or even an aggressive howl. And I want to hear I want to hear the samurai chatter. That's like a huge thing. And I think of Ron Moorhead. He's got some audio.
He does, yeah.
From the Sierras. I'm like, that is the craziest and coolest sounds ever.
Yeah, my buddy Rob got some too when he was on a BFR expedition in northern Idaho. He got some too on he had one of those little parabolic things he was listening to out there, and he heard some of that.
That's insane.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But I'm actually moving to Spokane, so there's tons of stuff up there that I want to get my hands on and go check out. Just tons of great experiences people have had, and tons of sightings.
Isn't Spokane near the Olympic area?
It's on the other side of the state. Yeah, it's same latitude, but it's just on the far right side of the state, not the left side. But a lot closer, because Bluff Project is 12 hours from my house right now.
How far will it be from Spokane?
Probably about 4 or 5 hours driving across, I would think.
Oh, that's a ferry ride. That's super close.
Yeah, I'll be bugging Derek all the time now.
Oh man, I that's one place I really want to go squatching in, is the Olympic Peninsula.
Yeah, me too. Especially, I've always heard of stuff up there, but especially the results that Expedition Bigfoot is getting this season. It's just like, oh man, I want to go find the road they're driving on. I want to go, figure where the spaces they're at. But all the stuff you hear up there, the different like the nest sites, that the OP's figured out, and all that stuff. That's just seems perfect habitat, perfect isolation, just perfect for him.
Oh, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And then you kind of answered this, but we ask our guests all this question. What's your opinion on the legitimacy of the Patterson Gimlin film? Like, do you think it could be fake, or do you think it could be real? What do you think?
I'm almost obviously I leave open the possibility that I've been hoaxed, but everything I can tell, it's got to be real. I don't know why. I don't have any evidence to prove it otherwise.
No way. It's just real.
I just see no reason why it's not real. Yeah. Everything that everything you look at, everything evidence points to it. There's no example of how you could fake it. Show me the feet. Show me the anything. I mean, everything that people do to try to fake it, like they came close. Les Stroud came close when he made those fake footprints and showed them to Meldrum. And Meldrum was already suspicious immediately when he first saw them and knew something was wrong with them, but he didn't say right away. But and it took him what, $20,000 and professional Hollywood stunt guys or makeup guys to make these things, with the flex and all that stuff. Yeah.
And it's funny because I talked to I interviewed Eduardo Sanchez, who directed the Blair Witch Project, but he also made a movie called Exists. Mm-hmm. And he was saying, when all said and done, to make the costume for the Bigfoot in the movie was about $100,000 in today's money.
And it still sucks.
And what's the thing? We all know that Roger Patterson's brother now, Al Diatley, was pretty rich. Mm-hmm. But to make a costume back then, that would probably cost a great sum of money. I mean, let's just say it was $100,000 back then. In today's money, that's a lot of money.
Have you heard this? What was his name? There's a gentleman up at the OP that gave a presentation on the PG film, and he's been doing I think he did the redo of the 4K stabilized stuff with the image. You're
not talking about, it's either MK Davis or Gimlin you're talking about.
No, it wasn't those two guys. I'll reach out to Derek and find out what his name was, but he did this awesome presentation. One of the things he pointed out about the PG subject and a fake film is that if you look at the anatomy of the head, where the eyes are, and then the way the forehead slopes and all that stuff, is that if you can see on a person, it would go like right through your forehead here, if it was a person. And so that's why you see a lot of these suits with really large heads, because they can't emulate this because your forehead's in the way. It's physically in the way, so they have to actually lift it up. But he did the analysis of it, the pixel size analysis and all that stuff, and said, the subject's forehead goes right through where a human's forehead would be. Just so there's no way it could be a person in a suit there, because your freaking forehead, it's in the way.
Dang, yeah,
it's physically in the way.
Let me know when you find out who that was, because I'm trying to think of who that could be.
Yeah, it was this kid. I think he was in college, but he did a really nice job with he was in depth. He was looking at the size of the creature based on the pixel density of the image, and he was extrapolating different lengths and sizes of it that way, and it was really very cool. But that was like almost one of the of the many. That's another smoking gun about no suit, is that your person's forehead is physically in the way.
Dang, dude, that's something to think about.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty good, but
yeah.
So, well, it's getting to that time. I want to thank you, Damon, for coming on.
Hey, anytime.
It was like last minute, and then I had to reschedule for tonight, but it's all good. And you'll send me that audio we can put in when we're done here talking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can just email it to me, and I'll play it when we're done here. But until next week, we're the Bluff Creek Project Podcast, and have a good night.
This is the highlights of the overnight audio recorded on July 16th. Starts about an hour after I go to bed, and it starts with a squirrel, followed by a knock. Then about an hour later, the RV gets hit by a rock. A half hour after that, another rock. Shortly after, some messing around, and then another thump, which I think is on the box that the fire pit came in. Half hour later, another small rock thrown at the RV. Followed by another rock to the RV. So a half hour later, you can kind of hear something in the bushes a little bit, and then another thump as something else is thrown at the RV. And 30 minutes later, this is kind of a weird section. There's a bird talking, and then behind that, there seems to be some kind of a howl. And then, of course, another thump on the RV. So at this point, it must be really annoying it because I'm not responding. So now it does this. I have no idea how that didn't wake me up. That was at 3 o'clock in the morning, and then for the rest of the night, about every 20 minutes, something, weird noises, and then little thumps, and then a knock, another rock get thrown to the TV, and there's a branch break, and then followed by a couple more steps and a thunk on something metallic, and then it's quiet the rest of the night until the birds start up. I'm going to put those all in order. And that's it. There may actually be more in there. I didn't listen to every second. Just stuff that looked like it was louder than background. But that coupled with the occasional smell I was getting hiking throughout the day, and plus it's a known place where I've had stuff happen to me there before, made for a really interesting night.